Good afternoon, it's Tracy from Cheap Car Garage. Just wanted to touch base with you. This is part 4 in a series on the MG Midget. I noticed you'll notice my fabulous clothes here. I thought I would touch on that and let you know what goes on with this. I have old clothes that after they wear out and are of no use to wear in public anymore, I kind of relegate them down to my shop clothes. So I wash them every week. They may look like hell, but they're washed and cleaned. So, don't go mocking this finery, because this is my look. Anyway, getting back to the MG, we can't find a Datsun 210 gearbox. Nobody seems to have one, which makes sense. They were from 78, 79 to 81 or 2, somewhere in that range, and that was a long time ago, so finding one is going to be nearly impossible. So it looks like what I'm going to have to do is freshen up one of the gearboxes I have on hand. I got a gasket kit that I purchased a while back to do this, but I'm going to take a little different approach. I don't see a reason to pull this gearbox completely apart. It makes no sense to do that. If I can see inside the gearbox and determine that everything seems to be okay, I will inspect various things. I'll put new gaskets on the transmission, but for the most part, everything looks okay. And being I have no idea of anything about this transmission, I'm just gonna have to kind of roll with that. It worked out well for one of my other cars. I got a spare transmission with it. It was in the guy's possession when I bought the car. My car hopped out of second gear, and on that particular situation I had this gearbox that looked like brand new, and he'd had it forever. And in that case, I just pulled the other one out and put that one in, and it's crisp as new. So don't know whether I'll find the same situation with this one. This gearbox is very clean, so I don't know if the former owner cleaned it up in anticipation of replacing the gearbox that's in the car, or if he just got it as a spare, and it was fairly recent out of a car at the time he got it. So it's been sitting around here for a long time in my house, 2 or 3 years, and it's got some dust bunnies on it and whatnot, but overall it looks very clean. So it doesn't look like it was either in a car very long, or like I said, somebody cleaned it up and make sure it was, or in preparation to put it in the car. Without further ado, we're gonna take a look at this thing, see what we got. Maybe it's usable, maybe it's not, I don't know. We'll check it out. We'll start by pulling the shifter housing off. It's kind of nice to not have to wallow on the floor for a change. At the very least, we'll get to put some fresh gaskets in this rascal, and see if it, being that it's not a big deal to pull the engine out of this car, pulling it out, swapping it over, and putting this gearbox in there, it's not going to be that big of a deal. We'll just do the things we know to do, like gaskets and making sure make sure it shifts through the gears properly. And once we get all that stuff checked out, then the only thing to do is put it in the car and see how it works. Who knows what we're going to come up with. It may work fine, it may not work at all. think I even have a new reverse switch here, which we can replace. This one's clearly not in very good shape. All right. Find my razor blade here and get this old gasket off. Yeah, these have been on here a while. Probably since '71. I would have been a young whippersnapper at that point. Still haven't gotten my compressor fixed. It crapped out on me about a year ago or more, so otherwise I'd use my little Ziz wheel on here and zzz, take this right off. Use an aluminum disc and on steel, and actually this is aluminum, so it might harm it. Probably just as well that I'm doing it this way. Anyway, we'll set that out of the way. This thing, I was piddling around with it one day and shifted it back without a shifter in it, which was a bad mistake because it locked into whatever gear it was going in there, and it was probably fine until I did that and caused myself some more grief, but that's okay. We're going to take this off and see if we can't realign the shifting forks and put her back together. Let's get to it. keep in mind, I don't have a clue about working on a transmission. So this is new territory for me as well as you. All I can say is I can recognize chipped up or damaged gears and synchros and things of that nature, but as far as knowing how to rebuild these rascals, I don't know that I can. I'm the one to ask. But anyway. So far, these bolts have all been the same size. They may be all the way around, I don't know. I'm gonna kind of keep them in order. If I could keep them from rolling around my workbench. Beautiful day down here in North Carolina. Don't know where you are in the world. I do thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe if you are so inclined. Hopefully my videos are going to get a little better as I go along, get a little bit more used to doing this. But right now I'm definitely a rookie at this, so when I watch these things back, sometimes I bore myself. So I get it. Wheel! I have no idea how to get this apart. Let's start with this. That's a plunger pin right there, so I don't know if there's a plunger in there or if that's just locates that shaft. We'll see. There we go. All right. Well, there's some sludge in the bottom of this, so And there's a shim. That almost looks like Hylamar sealant on this particular gasket, which I don't know if you're familiar with Hylamar, but it's a very good sealant. And if I'm not mistaken, it was an English sealant, so it's thinking it's a good chance that's never been a part there. Put you on hold for just a second. Good morning. I'm going to finish assembling this gearbox. I have taken a pin and marked this shifter rod to help line it back up. I'm going to have to loosen this one, the shifter rod, so I can turn this rod enough to when I slide the shifter in back on the transmission, that I can slide it down, slide it down this between these two shift rods. That way, once I get it in there, then I can turn it back. I'll turn it back in, lock it back down, and the tail shaft will be back on the transmission. So knock that out real quick, and then we'll have this pretty much done. Let me put a little sealant on this. I have a shim here that goes in. I can either put it here or put it on the tail shaft. I think I'm gonna. It's a little beat up. I don't know why it's so beat up, but it looks like it fits in this little groove here, but whether it'll stay there while I think I'm going to put just a hair sealant. Hope this is not a bad move, but just a little bit of sealant around that edge. I don't want to put enough that it changes the clearance or anything like that. I just want enough on there that'll hold the dang thing in place, because it doesn't look like it wants to. It's not very cooperative as far as sitting in place. But anyway, truth be known, I should probably replace the shim, but I don't have one, so, and I'm not waiting to get one. Geez, would you stay in place? Okay. Plan B. I'm gonna goop a little bit more in there, which will probably change the damn clearance, but I'm not screwing with this thing for an hour to hold it Okay. So I've put the shim in the end of this thing. Put a little sealant on it to hold it in place. It's ready to go back on. Now I'm going to put a little sealant on the, just a little bit of sealant around here. I don't want it crazy. Remember, originally it had no sealant. It just had gaskets, which is why it probably leaked profusely back in the day. Because I can tell you, these gearboxes, the one that's in there, the tunnel shaft has got some oil in it. I can tell you that. The next person that comes in behind me is going to go, what idiot put all this sealant on here? But I promise you, it's not much. I previously cleaned up the surfaces before I put the gasket on. All right, now I'm gonna loosen the lock rod. Okay. Hell. It's not a 10. What in the world is it? What in the world? There we go. All right. I believe that's opened up wide enough for me to sneak this tail shaft. This is the most fiddly bunch of junk I've ever seen. All right. Got our shift forks tightened back up. Shifter was a little fiddly to get back in place, but it's done. Sorry I had to cut you guys off, but it was just a little fiddly, and I snug all these tail shaft bolts up just a little bit further, and I think we'll be close to putting the shifter housing on, and we'll be done with this little project. Keep in mind, this is cheap car garage, so the test procedure will be once I swap it out into the car to see what we've got. This transmission, I mean, I have inspected all the gears and everything in it, and it seems to be okay. We may find out once I actually put it in and drive it that it's complete garbage. I don't think so, because it looks pretty good, and I'm pretty good at determining these things. But again, as I stated when I started this segment here, that I've never taken a gearbox apart, so you're watching my first attempt at any of this. There's a couple of little things that I have to address with you. That there are, let me get this up here. There's two plungers right here for the shift rods. One here and one here. These are detents for the shift rods. Now, when I put the cover back on, there'll need to be two springs that go here too. And I'll have to rob those from the other gearbox, because when I got this gearbox, the side cover was loose, and therefore the springs, I wasn't even sure the detents were in there, but they were. Thank goodness the detents had remained in there. But so keep in mind, when this gearbox goes into the car, we will we'll be swapping over the side cover and detent springs. I had one, but in this fiddling with the tail shaft, I seem to have misplaced it. Probably dropped in the floor. All right, pull up my gasket kit here and see will say some of these gaskets are a little tight on their tolerances. But they'll work. I mean, you almost tear them putting them on. They're so tight. All right. Gaskets on, crisis averted. Let's put all right. Turn this around so you guys can see. This thing's a little dusty. I think once I get the side cover mounted, I may give this thing a little bit of a cleanup. $12.75 life. Sure would like to find a Datsun gearbox so I don't have to do this transmission, but you know, we'll work with what we got. Of course, you know, these days $12.75 gearbox is probably, I mean a Datsun gearbox, they probably want a bunch of money for it. I believe I got a reverse light switch somewhere around here and I had to find it. Let me put you on hold here. All right, I'm back. I got a brand new reverse lamp switch. This would be Moss Motors part 141-020 for anybody that may be interested. We'll swap this rascal out. I'm so glad these came off. I was afraid they were not going to. All right. see what size we got here. I think it's going to be a 14. I forget most of this crap's standard. Seems to be, anyway. Oh, God. Dig down in my standard tools and see if I can find something that will fit. There we go. There is no lock ring or gasket or anything like that. For obvious reasons, it's not necessary. And just snug it down a little bit. That's all you need. See here. All right. Can't seem to judge the size of a socket to save my life these days. Well, there she is. She's complete. Next step will be putting this rascal in the car, which I don't know when that's going to take place. It's going to, I don't know, next few days or a week or something. I don't know. I got other things I got to do, but this concludes this particular video, and thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe. Trying to get this channel going. It's going a little bit slow, but hopefully it's getting better, and we'll get a little bit more fluid with our work and builds and whatnot. Thank you. Appreciate everything. Appreciate all you guys watching. Have a good day.